Hello. So today's video is actually going to be a little bit of an interesting one. It is a sort of continuation from the one I've posted last week, I believe it was last week, about the false light grid. And I want to just go into that quickly because we brought up this sort of idea of false guides as well. And I think that kind of freaked people out a little bit, and I understand why, but it's so important. You know, I'm so done with this thing of I should censor myself because people aren't ready for this. It's like, if you're not ready for that, then move on. I'm not your teacher right now, that's fine. It's my own lesson, you guys, in recognizing that I don't need to be the person for everybody, because I won't be, and I can celebrate that. So part of me celebrating the fact that I'm not for everyone, I'm probably not for all that many people, and that's amazing too. I love who I am for, you know. But I want to bring up some stuff that is potentially provocative, and this is why I've not spoken about it in my channel before, but it's been in my heart for a while, and I've not heard anyone else talking about it before, and I don't really know how to talk about it without feeling like, oh my god, am I being judgmental? But it's about my truth and the way that I see it, and it might help people, so I'm going to share that. I'm just going to do it, you guys. Because basically, I've become, you know, through my exploration of the false light grid, it's really changed my whole perspective on the light grid, right? And it's really helped me to kind of move into this place of truly breaking up with love and light. You know, I've got a lot of love and light in me. You know, people look at me and you can see it's love and light, right? I'm there. But there's more to me than that. And I think I was operating in those parts of my being for a long time, with the love and the light, and that served me, and it serves us until it doesn't. Until it doesn't. And when it gets that point where it doesn't serve us anymore, and we're actually ready to graduate from love and light, and we don't, we get stuck. And this is what I've been observing in the light grid. Stuckness, stuck energy, an enmeshment in a narrative that actually keeps us stuck, doesn't keep us transforming and growing. So I'm probably going to talk about quite a few different interesting things, and I'm not going to try and structure it that much because I'm just speaking from my heart. And again, I'm not speaking about this from a place of intellect or knowing definitely. I'm speaking on it from a place of tuning into what I actually think about things and bringing that through, tuning into my crown, to my original thought, and dissecting things that I've just taken in as truth without questioning. Because what serves me the most these days is questioning everything that I believe to be so. Even things like, why do I think that this terrible thing in my life should not be happening right now? Or why do I think this ending should not be occurring? Or why do I think but. So, the 5D New Earth, you guys. It's a narrative I hear a lot. It's one that I explored for myself. But I came up with this analogy and it kind of fits. It's like the 5D New Earth. It's like I walked into this room of people. This is an analogy. I walked into a room of people and they were all wearing these hats. And I was like, that's cool. And they were like, hey, if you want to come be in this room with us, just chuck this hat on. Oh, okay, I'll put this hat on. But when I put that hat on, I didn't stop to question, do I want to put this hat on? Does this hat go with my outfit? Does this hat serve me? Does it serve someone else? Does it serve in that I'm just like everyone else because I've got this hat on? So I can identify who's just like me and I can feel safe like that? So recently I took off the hat of the 5D New Earth. And I can look at it differently now. And I can see that maybe that hat did fit me for a while, but not anymore. Because to me, there is this energy around 5D New Earth narrative that is almost like the light and love, or the light grid version of the apocalypse. Yeah. Because it's not that the world's ending in a really destructive and horrendous way, but it's still ending in a love and light way. And, you know, the energy of stuckness, now that I really tune in, the energy of stuckness is also an energy of procrastination. It's almost like I'll get there when, we're all in the 5th dimension together. You guys, we all are already in the 5th dimension. Earth exists 5th dimensionally. Our bodies are at the 3rd dimension, our minds are at the 4th dimension, and our souls are at the 5th dimension. So it doesn't mean our souls don't exist within our bodies at 3rd dimension. But for example, if we want to access the soul, we access that through the Akashic records, and we access that through the 5th dimension. It also exists 5th dimension up to, 10th dimension. I mean, I recognize 10 dimensions as quantum physics does, but however, I'm sure there are infinite, truly. So there's this question in my heart of why are we waiting for ourselves to exist at a 5th dimensional place of being when we've chosen to sign up for a human experience that is 3rd dimensional? Now, I'm not saying the 3rd dimension isn't perhaps crumbling, because I think we can all see that there's something crumbling out there, right? There's a lot of destruction in this world. But out of destruction is creation. And this is what I want to bring forward in this heart of mine. I have a strong, intuitive call to surrender the light grid. Surrender the light grid, surrender the false light grid. It is becoming irrelevant. We are moving into a space that is beyond light. So I suppose we would call it darkness, but not from a sense of evil, from a sense of the raw power of creation. Because if we are to give birth to a new age, the age of Aquarius, the new earth, however we conceptualize it in our minds, in our hearts, then don't we also have to be prepared to be in that womb, the cosmic womb? And who knows the cosmic womb better than the divine feminine? And this is what I want to bring through. It's like, I've worked for a long time of disassembling the patriarchy that I internalized, just destroying that really in order to create something else within me. And most of us, who've gone through a healing path have had to do that to some extent, or have had to, unlearn a lot of what we were told was simply the way things were. Because the way things were are no longer. And I think we're all clutching at straws right now. And the reason we're clutching at straws is because we're still operating through the light grid. And the light grid is, it offers us a sense of comfort. It offers us a sense of, I can trust this thing because it's light, because it's love. And this is the disillusionment that I've had with the 5D New Earth, is that I've had a disillusionment with the narrative that the 5th dimension is somehow only goodness and love because of the vibration per se that it exists at. No, I just don't agree. 5D is soul. We have souls that are negatively oriented. We have souls that are positively oriented. We have... Why do I find it so hard to be provocative sometimes? I just want to be that. Holding my crystals. Okay. There exists technology that can penetrate the 5th dimension without an actual being needing to be a vibrational match to that dimension. Okay? Yes. That's true. There are a lot of blocks to truth that exist within the fifth dimension. And if you can't acknowledge that, then I would ask yourself why. Do you feel like you're not strong enough to deal with that? Like, do we want this sort of safe space where everything is just light and love and that's the only way that I'll be okay and that everyone will love me? We are stronger than that. We are warriors. We are here to experience duality and to unify that. We signed up for this 3D human experience for a reason. You may have forgotten that reason. It does not mean that reason does not exist anymore. So, in terms of the enmeshment with the light grid and the stock energy surrounding the 5D new earth, I invite you to consider how you've been feeling recently. Have you been feeling urgency? Have you been feeling frustration? Have you been feeling stuck? Have you been feeling like, hey, I just need to rebel against what I am being told? Because that is truth. That is truth coming through you. Coming through you. Just wanting to erupt. Because truth is our only hope in creating something new. We cannot create a new earth with old recycled narratives that no one's actually checking out for themselves if it resonates. Again, it just doesn't resonate for me. I'm not saying that it can't be true or that it doesn't resonate with a lot of people, because it does. But it does keep us on the light grid. It does keep us dependent on love and light getting us through. And I want to invite you to consider what your life would be like if you didn't need love and light as a comfy cushion. If you could simply create through destruction and creation, the polarity of that, you could create whatever you wish to create because it is your reality that you are perceiving through your own energy system. So, the other thing I'll say is about our guides. Yes, we have guides. We have at least 6. We also have an archangel that we've been assigned. With this archangel, we do things like training before our lifetime. We get trained into certain things that we bring through in this life that our soul holds the knowledge of. Okay? So when we talk about, oh, how do I know if this guide is true or if this guide is false? You have to be able to decide that through your feeling, through your heart. Your mind will never get you there. Your mind will never be able to discern yes, no, because you'll be ping-ponged between that polarity and shown every different perspective until you go insane. You must drop into the heart. If you cannot feel your way through as a navigation tool, well, you can't go very far. Now, I want to talk about reasons why we might not have that heart space energy, why we might feel we don't have our clairsentience tapped in, tuned in, turned on. So what is clairsentience? Clairsentience is psychic feeling. It's different from clairvoyancy, which is seeing, clairaudiency, which is hearing, claircognizance, which is an inner knowing. So clairsentience is a very important piece in this puzzle, because in my work with clients, the more that I work with people who are gifted in this way, the more I can recognize that actually if we have one, we have all. If we have one gift, we have all. Now, most of us are here, we want to work in our clairvoyancy, we want to be able to see things, or we want to be able to see spirit and commune with spirit in that way. But I'm telling you, our images, the images that we see through our eyes are meaningless. They are absolutely meaningless if we cannot filter them through our heart, if we cannot filter them through our knowing, if we cannot filter them through a sense of yes, no. So why have we perhaps lost touch with our clairsentience over lifetimes? or in this lifetime? Well, very good reasons, very, very, very good reasons. For example, a lot of people on this channel, identify as an empath. So being an empath or being a highly sensitive person is basically exactly the same as clairsentience. So a lot of us know the struggle of the empath, right? Because the caricature of the empath is that you take on everyone's stuff. You're just this sponge that's going around the world, just overwhelmed all the time. Well, you don't have to be like that. In fact, the reason that it's like that is because you have turned away from your clairsentience, because you have turned away from your yes and your no at a heart level, at a feeling level. You have turned your back and you have said, I don't want to go there. We must recognize that we are creating our circumstances. Even when we're so empathetic, we are still taking that on. We are still taking that on. And we have the power to create the life we want. We have the power to create relationships where we don't feel drained, where we don't attract people who are constantly in crisis and in their victim, and we have to go rescue them. So why else do we turn away from our clairsentience? Well, one, it's overwhelming. We don't know how to deal with it. We feel everything. We feel everyone's everything all the time. And maybe we're gaslit for that too. So it's very confusing. We lose touch with our center, our real strong center. Because if we're like, oh, this person over here is feeling, say we're a child, and we see that mom is feeling angry, and we point this out to mom, and mom says, no, I'm not. I'm not feeling that. Well, we have to then make a choice. Do we agree with our heart, or do we agree with what we are being told at a mind level? And if we surrender our heart to the mind, well, this is how this separation from our inner knowing takes place. And this is how we actually get overwhelmed like a sponge in the world as an empath, as a sensitive person, because we have lost touch with it as a gift, as a power, because it is. And you have the codes within you to unlock how that is a power gift. Right now, it might be expressing in your life as in a disempowering way, yeah. But you're the only one that can change that. And you know in your heart that you can. So why else? Why else do we cut off from clairsentience? From our feelings? And I'm talking physical sensation as well as emotion. So, traumatic events in our life where we are perhaps violated physically, or where we are, the experience is so intensely overwhelming for our senses. We feel everything so much in that moment, and our physical, like our actual nervous system cannot process the amount that has been evoked in that experience. So it's almost like we shut off from it. We disconnect. We live outside of ourselves. We live outside of our actual experience of life. And therefore we get complacent about what our actual experience of life is. Because if I'm living outside of my life experience, then I'm not so much going to know what feels good, what feels bad. I'm not so much going to know if it's a yes or a no for this person. Because I'm so out of touch. I'm just living for survival. So how do we begin to bring our clairsentience back, turn it back on, tune it back in? We do so by developing trust. The reason we ever turned it off is that we didn't trust ourselves, is that we didn't trust the person in our life that created that traumatic event. Perhaps we did trust them and they broke our trust. Perhaps most importantly, because we learned to mistrust ourselves. Because in that moment where I pointed out that mum was angry and she told me that she wasn't, and I had to believe her version of truth instead of mine, or I chose to abandon my version of truth for hers to survive, when we do this as children, it is not our fault, it is survival. But we are the only ones who can unlearn that for ourselves as adults. So, there is good reason we turn off our clairsentience. And there is absolutely a pathway back to that. In fact, it is integral to your experience of life feeling okay for you to get back in touch with what life feels like right now. And it might not feel that good. But we cannot change something unless we feel it. Just like we cannot forgive someone unless we felt how much they hurt us. You know? So there's a lot of stuck energy that I'm noticing. And for good reason, like I said. But again, who are you waiting for? Who are you waiting for to change you? Except for yourself. What good will 5D New Earth be for us if we can't even feel something right now? And this is my main problem with 5D New Earth narrative, is that it creates an event that is in the future. And we need to work with the present moment. We need to see that our power is right here, right now. Because it is. It so is. And again, we can get stuck in the mind and confuse ourselves and drive ourselves crazy by saying, well, how will I know if this is my true guide or this is my false guide? How will I know if this person showing up is of Christ consciousness or of the false light? Well, you need to learn that system in your heart. It is already existing and it will not be found in the mind. We have to let go of logic. It really won't serve us moving forward. I'm sure most of you have, in the past, sort of, probably about a month of it now, perhaps 6 weeks for some of you, you've been feeling like, I see it this thing one way, and then the next day I see it another way. I'm shown this person's perspective and I believe them, and then I'm catapulted over to the opposite perspective, and then I can believe them too, and I can see that both are true, and that it's not either or. Whoa. We are being invited to explore truth. And we need to explore truth from a place of trust. And most of us live outside of trust. Most of us do not have trust even for ourselves. Because we have to trust ourselves before we can trust anyone else. And how many of you guys can sit here and tell me that your inner child trusts you unconditionally? That your inner child, that you've done your work with your inner child in that relationship with that part of you. That they just trust you. That they know you've got their back all the time. How many of you can say that? Well, there's the work. Right now. Not when 5D New Earth arrives. Right here, right now. There is work to be done. So why are we feeling so stuck? Well, because we keep procrastinating our enlightenment to a future date. We keep procrastinating our enlightenment to be something that somehow involves the entire collective getting to a consciousness that aligns with 5D. 5D consciousness is the soul, It is something that is very challenging for us to, in a way, conceptualize from out there dimensional reality, because we, like I said, we signed up for 3D because we wanted to learn through the human experience, which is very much about polarity and duality. We learn in that restriction in a way, through that restriction. We learn through restriction and expansion. Everything polarity. So I hope I've said what I wanted to say, to be honest. Oh, talked for a long time apparently. I feel like a lot of you have been also feeling that there is this pull to anchor our light grid so that we can just let it go. And what is anchoring the light grid? It's moving from our victim to our warrior. It's moving from our child to our sovereign. It's moving from our saboteur to our magician, etc., etc. It's moving from fear into power and anchoring that archetype into who we are. Recognizing I am not here as a victim to this world, I am here as a warrior for this world. And once we have anchored that in, we can just move forward. We don't have to read a million books that tell us what's wrong with us, because that is a stuck way of being. What serves us is, in fact, to recognize that I have the codes that are unique to me, that are unique to my soul, that no one else can bring through this life. And I get to have the job of awakening that within me and seeing what that will unfold. So that's what I'll leave you with. Alright, I send you so much love. Un tale molto culto, riscetta alla